Protests on IU's Bloomington campus against the war in Gaza have entered their second week. Things have settled down after an initial crackdown by IU and Indiana State Police last week led to almost 60 arrests. But passions remain high as protesters continue to make their voices heard. Today they've gathered outside Assembly Hall, where we're joined by our Ethan Sandweiss.
Hello, Perry. There's a small group of protesters, around 30 faculty, down by the entrance of the parking lot, but up here by Assembly Hall, things are pretty calm. It's mostly families, graduates, people in robes. My colleagues and I have been covering this all week. We've been at the protest day and night, and here's a little bit of what we've seen.
Protests started last week with demonstrators calling on IU to divest from Israel, end its research partnership with the Crane Naval Base, and remove President Pamela Whitten and Provost Rahul Srivastava from leadership. People have been camping there since Thursday.
So I've slept here one night in total, but stay here till 4 a.m. every other night, except the night it rained because I had my dog. But it's been wonderful every time I've been here. I felt so supported, and I've never felt so connected to the community of Bloomington.
The protest coincides with others at college campuses across America. Many remained peaceful, others have resulted in violent encounters with the police. The protests at IU remained organized this week with teach-ins, speeches, and music. During the day, demonstrators hung out on the grass. That's a big change from last week, when IU invited the Indiana State Police to enforce a no-tents order passed the night before. They arrived heavily armed and arrested 57 on Thursday and Saturday. Some community members were alarmed by what appeared to be a sharpshooter placed atop a nearby building. ISP Chief Doug Carter confirmed a sniper perch in his interview with WTIU.
The Overwatch locations that gives us the ability to pay attention to what's occurring overhead, not eye to eye, not laterally on the field, is that Overwatch from above. That got turned into a quote sniper position. Could it have become that? Yes. Was that our intent? No.
Carter says his department's response was based on anti-Semitic hate speech he heard at the rally. However, he was unable to provide any examples and said that observations by Jewish participants to the contrary were anecdotal. I asked Carter what line speech would have to cross to become criminal.
The understanding of the First Amendment is not endless. It's not endless, and I'll just leave it at that.
Protesters largely blamed IU President Pamela Whitten for inviting state police and for the last-minute policy change that was cited during arrests.
The way that Whitten's administration has responded to the movement has been just like another egregious violation of shared governance, of academic freedom on campus.
IU denied our request for an interview, but Whitten sent an email Sunday that unregulated encampments raise concerns and have become magnets for those making threats of violence or who may not have the best interest of Indiana University in mind. Protesters drafted a resignation letter for Whitten and delivered it to Bryan Hall, but building doors were locked.
I'd like to offer my apologies to everyone who cares about the past, present, and future of Indiana University, and wish you all the best in rebuilding its reputation. Sincerely, Pamela Whitten.
They then crossed campus to Bryan House, the president's on-campus home, chanting pro-Palestinian slogans.
Ethan, what are protesters most upset about at this point? I'm hearing criticism of the IU administration, but these started as a pro-Palestinian protest.
If you talk to the people who are leading these protests, you'll still hear that Gaza is the bottom line. They're really concerned about Israel's ties to the Crane Naval Base, investments in Israel, and they are, yes, also calling for the resignation of the president and the provost. I think, though, that this police response has really catalyzed the movement, and you have a lot of faculty now and other students getting involved because they're worried about freedom of speech on campus.
What's the police presence like today?
Honestly, I haven't seen a whole lot of police around here. There were 2 Ellettsville PD squad cars and some other police vehicles I wasn't able to identify on the road, but so far it appears to be fairly minimal.
All right, thank you, Ethan. We're joined now by Ellie Cohen, a member of the Board of Directors of Congregation Beth Shalom here in Bloomington. She is appearing on behalf of the board. Ellie, as we heard earlier, protesters have objected to both university investments in Israel, and they're worried about the Palestinian cause. How do you respond to these?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Again, on behalf of the board of directors of the congregation, I think the important thing to highlight is that we really, as a community, have a really wide range of responses to that question. And our community really, they really vary in where they stand on these kind of overlapping issues that we're seeing in the protest movement right now. I think we absolutely have members who support some sort of divestment from Israel. We have members who support calls for a ceasefire. We have members who have been at the encampment and spending time there, both as protesters and also as especially faculty concerned about their students. But we also have many members who do not support those ideas, right? We have members who were at the Chabad house with their, with Israeli flags.
We're seeing a lot of younger Jews at these protests supporting the Palestinian cause. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, right, we always see kind of younger people taking up these more progressive causes. I will say a lot of those younger people, especially the graduate students and college students, are not members of the synagogue per se, but it makes sense to me that younger people are taking this up. I will say again, we've had older members on, I don't like saying both sides because I think there's more than two sides, but we've had older members and younger members both at the Chabad house, at the anti-Hamas rally that was organized, I think, yesterday, as well as members who are at the encampment, and then members who are choosing not to get involved.
Well, one question that has come up, two questions nationwide: can one criticize Israel without being critical of Jews?
Sure.
And along the same line, can one support Palestinians without being pro-Hamas?
Sure, and I think that's a really tough question, and one that we're going to spend a lot of time trying to unpack. I would like to think, just like we can criticize a government, we can criticize our own American government without being anti-American, that we can criticize any government without being anti-Semitic or anti-Palestinian.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate your perspective. Sure. That was Ellie Cohen, a member of the board of directors of Beth Shalom, the temple here in Bloomington.